Welcome back, and moving on to our first segment for today, talking about President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's visit to Qatar and talking about different means of mutual cooperation between Qatar and Egypt. First of all, allow me to welcome our guest for today, Dr. Youmn Hamaki, Professor of Economics at Shams University. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning.
So, first of all, I'd like to shed a light on this visit, the significance of this visit during this critical period of time, and talking more about its impact on Egypt.
Yes, this visit is quite important nowadays to address challenges confronting the Arab world, generally speaking, and we can see around us a lot of, challenges confronting Arab countries, and Egypt, is always playing its role towards trying to coordinate efforts and trying to make some kind of reconciliation regarding the main challenges confronting Arab world. And from here it comes the importance of this visit. We had a visit from, Prince Tamim before in Egypt a few months ago. And, this visit from President Assisi, it's the first visit to Qatar, and actually it's quite important. Why? Because when we revise our relations with Qatar, specifically in economic relations, we can see that these relations are quite weak compared to the potentialities of cooperation between the two countries. The trade, size of trade is still quite minimal, despite that it witnessed an increase this year, but still quite weak regarding the importance of this relation, as well as investment from Qatari in Egypt, taking into consideration nowadays that Egypt is full of opportunities for investment. And when we talk about the international economy for this period, we can see a lot of challenges confronting such international system, and the need for a new international economic order will necessitate more Arab integration and more, regional integration regarding, chains of production, value chains, and to what extent we can, like for example, Egypt nowadays is enhancing the potentialities for agricultural production, and Qatar in deep need for food production. So from here it comes that there is a mutual interest for both countries to accelerate their activities regarding Qatari investors coming to invest in the agriculture sector to secure food for Qatar, and as well as petrochemicals in Qatar nowadays, gaining momentum. So this is another potentiality we can have, in the value of chemical production and industrialization. We all know that for industrialization we need chemical products, and Egypt, unfortunately, we didn't succeed for the last period to develop our potentialities for local contents of the industrial sector. The most important thing that as economists we are studying this, we have these studies to prove that we are in deep need on chemical products. These chemical products are used intensively in different industries, like food industries, like all types of industries, medicines, all type of industries are in deep need for chemicals. Chemicals, the raw material for it is petrochemicals or these petrochemicals are quite produced in Qatar. So we can make such cooperation in trying to enhance the value chains of production of all types of necessary products in order to increase the local content of industrialization and to enhance value chain according to comparative advantage between all Arab countries, including the relations between Qatar and Egypt. So this is another example. A third quite important example is regarding energy, the energy sector. Qatar is a pioneer in this sector regarding gas and regarding oil. And from here it comes that the organization and coordination of efforts taking into consideration nowadays, Nashwa, there is a dilemma that the world economy is confronting, which is to how extent, you know, renewable energy, all projects of renewable energy, taking solar, wind, nowadays we are approaching and, you know, developing hydrogen. All these types of renewable energy is a big question, and I believe that this is the most important question to be addressed for COP27. To how extent these sources of renewable energy are sufficient to address the requirements of development in the whole world. And this Russian-Ukrainian war proved to large extent that we are going to be in deep need for fossil energy for the coming period, despite all what we are doing. But still, you know, the experience of this war proved that even Germany, despite that Germany had done great efforts towards moving from fossil fuel into renewable energy, nowadays Germany is returning back to coal and nuclear energy. And from here it comes that this is what we need to do. What we are going to do regarding investments and the role of the private sector for the investment in renewable energy, how we can replace traditional energy with renewable energy. What is the cost of that? What is the gap between supply and demand? This is a big, big question. And I believe that Qatar is playing significant role because Qatar is not only producing of oil and gas. And from here it comes that coordinating our efforts with Qatar is playing a significant role since Egypt nowadays is regarding itself as a hub for, you know, the production of gas and, you know, liquidation of gas and exporting this gas into European countries and into other countries. I believe that coordination of efforts can play a significant role towards a better management of our resources.
So also this, we can say that it is a new phase for the Gulf Cooperation Council as well, changing the whole map.
Yes, yes, you know, for Egypt and for Gulf countries as well, this cooperation is quite important. And, you know, it's not only by, you know, having coordination regarding, you know, the challenges confronting Arab world specifically, and we are approaching in November the summit of Arab League in Algeria. So we need more coordination towards what we are going to do as Arab economies, as Arab countries, what are the challenges, how we can confront such challenges. But beside, you know, that nowadays we are moving from just the political side and the problem side into how to coordinate our efforts and to use our resources on a comprehensive approach, which means that it's not just by Egypt by itself or Gulf countries. And what happened during the last months that Egypt activated the cooperation and included, the industrial sector and the value chain among the 5 countries, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Iraq, and Jordan. And we hope that other Gulf countries will join us because, like Saudi Arabia, for example, like Qatar. Why? Because there are a large potentialities, according to our studies as economists, of cooperation in order to enhance the value chain and to strengthen the dependency of the Arab world. This is quite important. The experience can prove when we face such challenges that dependency and self-reliance is becoming quite important for Arab countries to confront challenges coming from what we can see on the international level as conflicts nowadays between Russia and European countries, as well as the coming conflict, hopefully between United States and China. All these challenges, necessitating, this type of cooperation among Arab countries.
Right. President Al-Sisi also got a meeting with the businessmen. And as usual, this is of great importance when the president is meeting businessmen, talking about the potentialities, talking about investments, the injection of the Egyptian market. Tell us more from your own point of view. How did you see this meeting and the points tackled?
Actually, we have to admit that we still have challenges regarding climate of investment in Egypt. But we can see the last 2 months that there is significant improvement and deep, activities towards trying to address such challenges and problems. I believe that this meeting, and always President Al-Sisi, is tackling all the issues of confronting businessmen and industrialists and trying to solve their problems in different spheres. And I believe that he heard from them what are the obstacles, and I know that Qatari investors are suffering from several problems regarding their projects in Egypt. So I believe that the first step to be done is to confront and to solve all these problems in order to attract and to encourage such investors to come and invest and benefit from the potentialities of very profitable investment in Egypt nowadays. So this is the first thing to be done, and by referring to last meetings that have been done by Prime Minister to address investors, and that we witnessed several decisions that have been taken regarding changing, the procedures of importation, as well as trying to address problems of taxes, all the problems confronting investors in Egypt nowadays. There is, significant efforts exerted in order to address such challenges. So I believe that this is the first point to be addressed in the meeting. The second point is to elaborate on what are the types of investments that are available in Egypt. And I believe that on top of that, the intensive program of IPO that Egypt is addressing regarding, a large part of our entities, that are quite profitable, and we are trying to inject more capital and the role of the private sector. This is a very important potentiality, and Sovereign Fund is doing and exerting efforts towards that, and we are trying meanwhile in the same level to reform our stock market. So all these activities are done in the same time in order to activate and to make such efforts successful. We have to pave the way in order to have a successful IPO. So all these efforts are done in order to do that. So the second point is to present what we can have for investors as very profitable and significant, because when you have diversified activities such as starting from medicines to different activities that are in top interest for Qatari investors, I believe that this is going to attract investors to come and to share. The third point is, what are the different types of cooperation? For example, investors in Qatar, you know, they are suffering from the problem of labor. And nowadays, Egypt is having a very ambitious program towards training our youth according to international standards, and providing, you know, trying to address the demand in the labor market. So I believe that this is a very important topic to be addressed and to be discussed, since we have as well a company dealing with taking into consideration the demand in the labor market, and to what extent we can address such demand by training our youth. And lately, you know, we have different centers of training. This is first of all that have been upgraded by the best technology, so they are ready, and we have done a very good efforts toward upgrading the skills of TOT in different fields. This is one of the channels that we have to address. Another point is the technological schools that are nowadays starting working in Egypt, and I believe these schools are going to be integrated with all activities in order to supply the required skilled labor for all the Arab countries, and including Egypt, because we are actually have the same problem, lack of skills regarding different specialists in the labor market. So we are working not only for Egypt, but for Egypt and the Arab world.
I think also that we are approaching the COP27, and of course we can see the preparations among Arab countries, and especially when we talk about the Gulf countries as well. This is also of great importance, and it was also an important file that was discussed as well.
Yes, this is very important. Why? Because Gulf countries nowadays, including Qatar, are doing quite well regarding you know, moving into renewable energy. But the problem, Nashwa, regarding renewable energy, as I mentioned, is that still all these types of renewable energy are not sufficient to fulfill the needs of the need for energy, generally speaking. And we have another problem, which is how to reach the best energy mix. This should be on top priorities of discussions among Arab world. You know, the problem here is how to increase the local contents, because you may see, you know, see that we are doing quite well regarding, we have in Bemban, for example, the largest solar energy plant. But still, it is all the way, you know, referring, and, you know, all these parts are important. So what is the local content that you are trying to introduce into your industrial sector, so that you can be generating and using your own technology and innovative ideas in our universities, in our scientific researches. You know, Nashwa, that I have been through several programs in our universities and scientific researches. There are a lot of inventions regarding electrical cars, regarding you know, renewable energy, and how to reduce the cost of panels for solar energy, or different types of renewable. But unfortunately, all these you know, inventions are not taking part in industrialization. So this is what we have to do, and we have to do it in a cooperative way, which means that we can regard Egypt and all Arab countries as one unit benefiting from all inventions happen, but trying to boost such inventions by moving it into the real life and into industrialization. If we do that, like the experience of European countries, the EU countries, they have done the same, having this holistic approach by addressing and using their resources efficiently, and by using that we can, accelerate using renewable energy and reducing the cost. It's not just by introducing this type of renewable energy. It's number one, by reducing the cost. Number two, by encouraging the private sector to invest in renewable energy. And by all these means, you can reach the best energy mix in which you are trying to reduce fossil for the benefit of renewable. And this is, from my point of view, I believe this is a very important message to be discussed and topic to be discussed in COP27 for the whole world. Because it's not just, when you talk about solar energy, you are going to find China on top of the countries that succeeded to reduce the cost of solar energy. So it's not just by introducing solar energy or wind energy, it's by what is the cost of generating such, type of energy.
The accessibility.
And the accessibility, and to how extent you are trying to, all the time, what China has succeeded to do it is, during the last decades, China has succeeded to develop their capabilities so that to reduce the cost of generating such types of energy. Solar energy nowadays, the minimum cost, you can get it from China. From this perspective, you have to do it in this way. And this is essential for our countries. Why? Because we are striving for enhancing our competitiveness. And a very important part of competitiveness is the cost of production. And energy is comprising from 15 to 30% of the cost of production, according to our studies. So from here it comes the importance of how to organize our efforts. This is essential in order to prove our ways on the international scene and to prove as Arab economies they are playing their roles on the international level.
Right, Dr. Youmn Hamaki, Professor of Economics at Shams University. Of course, always a pleasure having you with us on the show. Right, moving on to a quick break, then we'll be back.